We've been doing this segment for quite a few months. Now, Darian, this is our first time change. Be honest with me. Were you having a nap?
I was. I'm telling you, it got me. It's usually someone who falls victim, and unfortunately this year it was me. So sorry about that.
No, all good. Everybody loves that kind of post-supper nap because it is 6:13 in your neck of the woods. You know what? It wasn't sold out. There were empty seats, but it was loud, and Rider Nation was there. We got a time count. We did everything. And we just had Trevor Harris on. Offense looks so good. What was your take on the game Saturday, Darian?
I was just so happy to see the team just come out and, respond, with BC going downfield first drive and scoring early, that could really, really, take its toll on you if you're not prepared. So to see the team respond to a BC score and just come out and play lights out, especially offensively. Trevor just does what he does best, and that's just be so efficient. And I was happy to see that. And then just to see VA flustered a little bit out there. I thought that BC's offense would be riding high. I thought they'd be, hitting on all cylinders. And for that Rider defense to fluster VA and have him looking confused and not giving him as much daylight as he would have liked, I was glad to see that as well. So just an overall good performance. There's nothing to really, turn down on with the performance. And, just glad to see the team come out and be ready to play.
Yeah, as we mentioned, those fans who were in attendance, they worked hard. And nothing makes you happier when you're a fan, of course, when you think that your noise, that's what we did. We did that, Darian, talk about Trevor. You mentioned him being efficient. He spread the ball around a lot. 7 different players, 5 receivers, 2 running backs. Is that something that you tried to do when you play? Is that something you would say is a benchmark for a successful day at the office? Or are you just responding to what the defense is giving you?
I think you have to respond and take what the defense gives you, and I think Trevor did a great job of that. Whenever you can distribute the ball like he did and get guys involved early and, keep guys' mind in the game and not have them wander off wondering if they're going to get a catch or get a touch here or there. I think he did a great job of that. And then just the game plan itself. I mean, when you never know what teams may try to switch up when it comes to the playoffs, and, Coach Mueller and Trevor, those guys were ready for whatever BC threw at them. So, just when I was watching the game and looking at the highlights of Trevor's past, when he was in Edmonton, when he was in Montreal and in Ottawa, he has a tendency to get in the playoffs and get hot. And, so I was happy to see that, and hopefully it transfers over to next week.
We talked about it earlier in the show. As soon as we say, Raquel Armstead's in and AJ Let's in, we got both of them in, it's going to be run. And that wasn't really the case almost. And then we talked to Trevor about it. It's like, what Mark Mueller, he game planned and what they were giving us is what we were going to take. So they didn't try and force feed the run or anything like that. Were you maybe a little bit surprised, Darian, that there wasn't more run there? Or did you think what they did and that's the game plan you would have went with?
I mean, you know what? It's a chess match between these coordinators when you get into these big games. And maybe Coach Mueller had a thought that, whenever Oled or Armstead came in, that BC would try to load the box and, try to stop the run, knowing that it's a little windy, knowing that, you tend to lean towards the run game in these playoff games. So just a good job of him of having an answer to whatever BC did. I mean, it looked like BC came out and played a lot more man-to-man and took away some of the underneath throws that they gave up in the previous game against BC a few weeks ago. So just a great job of adjusting and, like you said, just taking what the defense gives you. That's basically what you really have to do in these big games.
We also talked about it earlier, and you hear this at every pro sport, when it gets that for the superstars and the guys that excel, sometimes the game will slow down. The bigger the game will slow down. Did you feel that back when you were in the big games?
Yeah, for sure. And, believe it or not, teams don't want to throw too much at their players, especially defensively. You don't want to come out and play different coverages or do things you're not comfortable with. So you tend to get a lot of vanilla coverages, things that you're used to seeing. And it makes it a lot easier. And that helps slow the game down as well. And, if you're a smart guy and you know what goes on in these games, BC knew that Trevor loved to take the underneath stuff a couple weeks ago, so they came out and played man. And just a great job of Coach Mueller, already knowing that BC would probably come out and be a little more aggressive and be in man coverage and having an answer, for that coverage. So great job by the offensive staff of just being prepared.
Darian, we talked a little bit about the loud crowd that you're going to get from Rider Nation in the Queen City this past weekend. We asked Trevor about combating playing in a real loud situation, a real loud stadium. The Riders can expect that, of course, in Winnipeg now. What were some of the things that you did when you faced that as a signal caller? And can it really compound if they get to you?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, crowd noise is definitely a factor. And it's something you want to do your best to try to take yourself out of situations where you know they're going to be at their peak. So you want to try to get into a second and short situation. Make sure you can, move the ball, get some first downs. If the crowd gets, hype 3, 4 second downs in a row, that fourth or fifth, they don't have that much energy. So you want to try to get a drive going, keep them out of it. And, if you can put some points on the board early, you can kind of keep them at bay. But it's definitely going to be an issue early on. And it's about just going in there and just trying to maintain and making sure that you don't let it get too much and get the best of you.
You talked about, the defense controlling VA. And we talked to Dave Thomas earlier. I liked it, right? Like that contain. The contain was there. He did have the happy feet. Then it seemed when he had the happy feet and he was going to throw it, the Sales interception was textbook. It's like they baited him. It's like, yeah, open. Yeah. And then by the time he threw it, no, not open. Like what did that defense, two-part here, what did that defense do well through your lens, Darian? And we have to think Winnipeg's got to be a little bit scared of what they're going up against here.
Yeah, I mean, the defense did a great job of just playing off coverage. I think Coach Mace placed his DBs at 8 to 10 yards in off coverage. That way they can keep their eyes on a quarterback like VA, who is known to break the pocket and run around and do some things. So whenever you have a mobile quarterback, you want to be able to keep your eyes on him, because that way you're able to see when he releases the ball. So if you look at these highlights, you don't see some of the DBs, anywhere in the picture because they're just off coverage. So, Coach Mace does a great job at disguising things, making different coverages look the same pre-snap. And you can just see that get into VA. And Winnipeg does a little of the same. They play a lot off, a lot of off coverage and try to make things look alike and bait you into making a mistake downfield. So I think you'll see some similar things this week, but the crowd noise could be a factor for Trevor in that offense. So you want to keep them quiet early and try to have some early success.
Darian's receiver Samuel Emelis for the Riders had a couple of big catches, took a couple of big hits, one where he did a complete flip. Toughness from a receiver sometimes is that guy that doesn't care. He will go into the tough spots knowing he is going to get smoked. He's going to face a big collision with the defensive backs. That's just a trait that some players have, right? And maybe just talk about some of the players that you played that had that toughness, that dog in him that Samuel Emelis seems to have.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. I love his game. And, if you think about early in the season, he wasn't really your guy running seam routes or running deep over routes across the middle. That was more for Schaefer Baker and your inside receivers. But, when it comes to playoff time, you want to put your money guys in these situations to get them the ball, to get them going. And, that seam route that Trevor hit Emelis on was just a perfect example of it's playoff time. Now you want to put your guys in positions where we call those money positions, where you know that they're going to get the ball, and it's best you get those guys in these situations. So, of course, with me, you look at Dressler and Getty and, the guys I played with, we would definitely do switch up things schematically in the playoffs to get these guys in different positions that they wouldn't normally play. It's also a tendency breaker, right? Whenever you see a guy like Emilus or Getzlaff or someone going, 20, 30 yards across the middle, it's something that you weren't normally seeing during the regular season. So it's a nice switch up come playoff time.
It's funny because there's almost like a parallel or a comparison to run with your guys that you had when you talk about Dressler and Getzlaff and Fent, like all the guys bag, like there's no selfish guys on this receiving core. And Trevor talked about that, right? Yeah, Kean Schaefer-Baker, he could go off. He could be, a guy out there, but he's like Bidsy, you talked to him, like he's spreading the ball around, and the selfish it's not there, Darian.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a receiver, you need your other receivers to get you open. And if you have a guy who's, pouting because he's not getting the ball, he's not running as hard, he's not, being that good decoy route that you need. And so you need selflessness guys across the board in order to be successful as a receiving core because, you're not just getting open yourself. You have to depend on these other guys to take the top off of coverage or to go underneath for you, to pull coverage for you to, get a pass downfield. So you need the help of the other guys in order to be successful.
Last one from you, Darian, and you can settle this one. We were talking about a little earlier in the show. I think the guys got a little too excited after the Western semifinal. They give the Gatorade shower to Corey Mace. Mace said, hey, you know what? Load up and give it to me. Load up and give it to me when I earn it. But guys, a little early for this right now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's his first playoff win. In his first year as a coach, he has a home playoff game. So I get the excitement. But, Gatorade showers are special, man. And you want to save some of those for those special times. And, hopefully they didn't jump the gun and do it too soon. And if, just make it seem like it's something that you planned and do it again this week when we win this week. And then, we'll see how it goes. But I don't like it, but, we'll see.
I'm scared to ask you for a prediction. Actually, yeah, you've been wrong more than right this year, though.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Hey, you're an honest guy. We got to call spade a spade, right? That's what we do on this segment of the program. But how do you think it goes down in Winnipeg on Saturday?
Look, I love the way the Riders are playing. I think that they're just clicking on all cylinders. I think we can go into Winnipeg and win 100%. I'm not going to give a prediction. I'm just going to say that I really like the way this team is playing. I think that they're set up to make an amazing run this year, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they went into Winnipeg and dominated that game because, I'm not sure Winnipeg is, playing as good a football as the second half of the season says they are. And, I think the Riders are playing really, really great football right now, and I think they have an amazing shot.
It's almost like, having the bye would have been great, rest the bodies, but it's almost like coming off this game now in such a positive and playing so well that now, like, the Riders have the upper hand here.
It's like sharpening your knife, right? Like, sometimes it's good to not use it sometimes, but it's also good to get out there and get some work with it and, put it to use. So, I don't think this hurt the team at all. I think it actually helped them.
All right. It's 6:27 in the East.
You can continue the nap.
Won't happen again.
Right on. All right, Matt. Let's talk to you next Monday. Hopefully we are Grey Cup bound when we talk.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Looking forward to it.
There's our